Chapter 1: Early History. The history of Aer Lingus began in 1936 amid a shifting global landscape and the development of Ireland's national identity. Aer Lingus, Ireland's national airline, was established as a way to connect the nation to the rest of the world, carve out a niche for itself in the aviation industry, and create a source of national pride. The airline's founding, with its modest fleet and lofty goals, was a turning point in Ireland's history. The airline's dedication to offering air travel services that reflect the nation's values of hospitality and warmth was demonstrated by its inaugural flights in 1936. The airline's early years were marked by its determination to overcome challenges ranging from scarce resources to the looming threat of World War II. The airline operated modest routes within Ireland. As the world descended into war, Aer Lingus encountered difficulties particular to a neutral country, navigating constraints and uncertainties that tried its resoluteness. The start of World War II had a significant effect on Aer Lingus operations. The airline was compelled to adapt as international aviation networks began to fail. During the war, attention shifted away from commercial passenger travel and towards essential communication and cargo transportation services. Aer Lingus became a lifeline that connected Ireland to the war-torn outside world. Despite the limitations of the time, the airline was able to maintain some sense of normalcy amidst the chaos thanks to its dedication to innovation and perseverance. By the time the Second World War came to an end in 1945, Aer Lingus had overcome obstacles that had endangered its very existence. The airline had changed during its formative years from an ambitious concept to a tenacious organization that had established its value. The airline's expansion and evolution during this time period paralleled Ireland's own progress towards modernity, laying the groundwork for the chapters that would come after. Aer Lingus carried with it the spirit of its beginnings as it emerged from its infancy. This spirit would continue to direct the airline as it stepped into a world that was changing at an unprecedentedly rapid rate. Aer Lingus' early years served as a demonstration of the strength of tenacity, creativity, and adaptability, characteristics that would remain central to the airline's identity over the course of its history. Chapter 2: After the War. Aer Lingus began a new chapter in its history after emerging from the shadows of World War II, one that was characterized by resiliency, growth, and a pioneering spirit. The airline was determined to rebuild its network, broaden its horizons, and adopt the technological developments that would shape the aviation industry for decades to come during the post-war years. Aer Lingus had the enormous task of rebuilding its operations and restoring its pre-war routes after the war ended in 1945. The airline modernized its fleet, switching from propeller-driven aircraft to the cutting-edge jet technology that was becoming a symbol of the time, demonstrating its dedication to innovation. Through this evolution, the airline's capabilities were transformed, and the passenger experience was reimagined, enabling shorter and more comfortable journeys. Aer Lingus experienced a paradigm shift in the 1950s with the invention of jet aircraft. Offering direct connections between Ireland and North America allowed the airline to enter the lucrative transatlantic travel market. This growth improved the airline's financial outlook and consolidated its position as a major player on the international scene. The airline's contributions to Ireland's tourism sector and economy became more and more obvious as it expanded. Aer Lingus promoted connections that went beyond national boundaries by facilitating the movement of people and goods. With each new route, the airline furthered its role as a global bridge by demonstrating its dedication to promoting international trade and economic growth. However, difficulties continued to exist even during this period of development. Aer Lingus faced challenges that put its adaptability to the test because of economic changes and shifting market dynamics. The entire aviation industry was impacted by the oil crises and financial turbulence of the 1970s. In response, Aer Lingus expanded its business while looking for ways to reduce risks and guarantee its long-term viability. Aer Lingus had successfully moved from a post-war recovery phase to a period of significant growth and widespread acclaim by the end of the 1960s. The airline's capacity to overcome difficult obstacles, accept technological advancements, and access the global market demonstrated its unwavering dedication to excellence. This period in Aer Lingus history laid the foundation for the company's continued development and prepared the way for its emergence as a cutting-edge airline with a significant global impact. Chapter 3: Era of Transatlantic Crossings. Aer Lingus underwent remarkable changes during the turbulent yet transformative 1960s to 1980s that solidified its reputation as a major player in the international aviation industry. This period in the airline's history is characterized by its bold entry into the transatlantic market, dedication to technological advancement, and aptitude for negotiating the complex terrain of international travel. Aer Lingus experienced a turning point in the 1960s when it began to expand its operations across the Atlantic. Long-range aircraft were added, which not only broadened the airline's service area but also changed what was possible in terms of cross-continental travel. Transatlantic travel facilitated cultural exchange and strengthened economic ties between Ireland, North America, and other countries. The choice made by Aer Lingus to adopt jet technology was crucial to the company's development during this time. The airline's efficiency increased along with the comfort of its passengers after adopting cutting-edge aircraft. The Aer Lingus brand became known for its up-to-date amenities and enhanced in-flight experiences, which competitors would aspire to match. Unique difficulties, such as economic downturns and fluctuating fuel prices, were brought on by the 1970s. Aer Lingus responded with remarkable flexibility. The airline expanded its reach to new locations and diversified its operations by adding cargo services. These actions showed the airline's commitment to resiliency in the face of difficulty while also ensuring its financial stability. Aer Lingus strengthened its position as a global airline by joining international alliances against the backdrop of broadening horizons and inventive advancements. Through these alliances, the airline's connectivity was improved, enabling it to work with other airlines to provide passengers with a wider selection of destinations and seamless travel experiences. Aer Lingus had achieved notable milestones by the 1980s end. It had successfully evolved from a small regional airline to a global force that linked continents and promoted relations between nations. Aer Lingus' future endeavors were paved by this era of transatlantic modernization and expansion, which also demonstrated its flexibility, commitment to innovation, and unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. Chapter 4: The Era of Globalization. Aer Lingus' history began a new chapter at the beginning of the 1980s, one that was marked by significant ownership changes, business alliances, and a steadfast emphasis on globalization. The airline adopted privatization, formed international alliances, and made efforts to establish itself as a significant global player as it navigated the shifting aviation industry landscape. The Irish government's decision to partially privatize Aer Lingus at the beginning of the 1980s marked a sea change. This change in the airline's ownership structure signaled a break from the state-owned airline's past by bringing in private investment and a rekindled sense of entrepreneurial spirit. In addition to providing the airline with capital, privatization gave it the ability to act quickly and in line with market demands. In the 1990s, Aer Lingus embraced globalization by entering into strategic alliances with other airlines and partnerships. The airline was able to grow its network by working with other carriers, giving passengers access to more places and more convenient travel times. These partnerships emphasized Aer Lingus' dedication to adapting and thriving in a world that is becoming more interconnected. Significant developments in passenger services and technology were also made during the 1990s. Emerging technologies were used by Aer Lingus to boost operational effectiveness, simplify booking procedures, and enhance customer service. The airline's dedication to providing a cutting-edge and practical travel experience was demonstrated by the rollout of online booking systems and self-service kiosks. However, there were difficulties during this time as well. Aer Lingus' fortitude was put to the test by the fallout from the September 11, 2001 attacks and subsequent disruptions in the aviation sector. In order to maintain financial viability in an unsettling environment, the airline responded by putting cost-cutting measures into place and re-evaluating its route network. Aer Lingus continued to change as the millennium went on. With a focus on fleet modernization, the airline introduced fuel-efficient aircraft to enhance sustainability and lower operating expenses. This dedication to environmental responsibility complemented the increasing global recognition of the significance of sustainable aviation. Aer Lingus had redefined itself by the end of this chapter as a privatized, international airline. In addition to defining the airline's identity, the convergence of privatization, international collaboration, technological innovation, and adaptability had also prepared it for the opportunities and challenges that the 21st century would present. Chapter 5: Contemporary Times. Aer Lingus experienced a period of contemporary challenges and dynamic adaptation at the turn of the millennium. The airline proved its ability to adapt, innovate, and stay a resilient force in the aviation industry as it dealt with unprecedented global events, changing passenger preferences, and the demands of sustainability. The fallout from the September 11 attacks, which began in the early 2000s, created turbulence in the aviation industry. Like many other airlines, Aer Lingus struggled with dwindling passenger numbers and heightened security measures. But the airline reacted quickly, making operational changes and cost-cutting measures to weather the storm. Despite these difficulties, Aer Lingus continued its transformational journey. By spending money on contemporary cabin interiors, entertainment systems, and onboard amenities, the airline put the needs of its customers first. Beyond booking systems, technological integration improved the onboard experience and highlighted the airline's dedication to passenger satisfaction. Another challenge presented by the 2008 global economic recession led Aer Lingus to review its route network and reassess its fleet. Through these tactical changes, the airline was able to streamline its operations and come out stronger and more strategically oriented. In terms of sustainability, Aer Lingus adopted greener practices in response to escalating environmental concerns. The airline implemented eco-friendly programs, introduced fuel-efficient aircraft, and decreased its carbon footprint. These initiatives were in line with the general industry trend towards responsible aviation. The airline's business model had to change due to the emergence of low-cost carriers and changing consumer preferences. Aer Lingus expanded its selection of services while preserving its standing for high-caliber customer care. The airline's commitment to providing value while maintaining its brand identity demonstrated its capacity to remain relevant in a cutthroat market. The global COVID-19 pandemic presented the aviation industry with an unmatched challenge in recent years. Similar to its competitors, Aer Lingus experienced decreased demand and travel limitations. In response, the airline altered its procedures, put in place health and safety measures, and looked into novel revenue-generating ideas. Aer Lingus is committed to upholding its legacy of transformation and resiliency as the aviation industry continues to change. The airline's experience navigating the new challenges of the 21st century is a prime example of its capacity to innovate, adapt, and get over challenges while upholding its core principles and dedication to excellence.